The stale, recycled air of LAX Terminal 4 did little to cool the slow burn that had been smoldering inside me for months. I stood just outside the TSA checkpoint, a silent observer, as the Reynolds family paraded through security like minor celebrities. There was Alina, my mother-in-law, her posture rigidly perfect, a silk Hermes scarf in a vibrant orange I'd secretly always coveted knotted precisely around her neck. Her carry-on, a gleaming Rimowa roller, probably cost more than my first 5 years of car payments combined. Beside her, Brooke, my sister-in-law, was already mid-selfie, pouting into her phone camera as she adjusted oversized designer sunglasses perched atop perfectly coiffed blonde waves. Airport security is so not my aesthetic. I overheard her whine to the person on the other end. And Mike, Ben's older brother, was booming with laughter at his own off-color joke about TSA pat-downs, oblivious to the weary glances he was drawing. They were embarking on their grand tour. 3 weeks of sun, sea, and excessive spending along the Amalfi Coast, followed by a week in a Parisian penthouse suite. The itinerary, which I'd accidentally found tucked into Ben's briefcase, read like a billionaire's wish list. Private yacht charters from Capri, vineyard tour in Tuscany, haute couture shopping appointments on Rue Saint-Honoré. The estimated cost, a staggering $35,000, and every single peso, euro, and franc was charged to my newest corporate credit card, the one linked to the small consulting business I'd built from the ground up. I'd only activated it last month, intending to use it for legitimate business expenses, not to underwrite the Reynolds family's Roman holiday fantasy. Somehow, they'd gotten the card number and expiration date. Somehow, they just used it. Again. My name is Clara Dixon now, though for the past 7 years, I'd been Clara Reynolds, the seemingly endless supply of cash and credit for a family who viewed me less as a wife and daughter-in-law, and more as a personal ATM with slightly better interest rates. It had started subtly, needing a few thousand for urgent car repairs for Brooke, which turned out to be a down payment on a new convertible, or covering the cost of Mike's can't-miss investment opportunity, which turned out to be a Ponzi scheme that evaporated faster than sunscreen in July. Ben, my husband, was always the buffer. Their family, Claire, he'd say, putting an arm around me, that familiar charm doing its work. We help family out. It's what you do. But help had mutated into exploit, and I was staring down the barrel of financial ruin trying to keep up with their insatiable appetites. This trip was the final straw, a blatant, audacious theft committed without a whisper of permission. "Clara, you coming, honey?" Ben called out from the mouth of the security lane, already shedding his jacket. He looked annoyingly breezy, completely unaware of the seismic shift that was about to occur. "No," I said, the single-syllable feeling like a declaration of war, a defiant banner raised against years of passive submission. It tasted like freedom on my tongue. Alina froze mid-stride, her expertly plucked eyebrows shooting up. "Darling, what do you mean no? Don't be ridiculous. Everything is booked, paid for. Your flight is in 2 hours." Her voice was laced with that condescending sweetness I'd come to despise. "Don't be difficult, dear." I held up my phone, the bright screen displaying my banking app. "Paid for, yes," I confirmed, my voice steady, betraying none of the tremor in my hands. "By a card I reported as compromised and used fraudulently last night." I watched the color drain from their faces in real time. Brooke's eyes widened behind her sunglasses. Mike's self-satisfied grin vanished. And funny thing about multi-continental luxury bookings when the payment is flagged as fraud? I continued, stepping closer, enjoying this moment more than I probably should. They tend to disappear, poof, like magic. Brooke gasped dramatically, clutching her chest. You didn't, Mike spluttered, his face instantly darkening with rage. That whole package tour cost a fortune. Did it? I asked, a small, sharp smile touching my lips. Consider it a rather expensive lesson in asking permission. And perhaps a late fee for the hundreds of thousands you've collectively siphoned off me over the years. Ben finally seemed to grasp the gravity of the situation. He stepped forward, that familiar placating charm kicking in, but it felt strained, desperate. Clara, honey, let's not do this here. It's loud. We can talk about this calmly once we get to the villa in Positano. Oh, there's nothing to discuss in Positano, I corrected, shaking my head slowly. Because you're not going. None of you are. And while we're airing dirty laundry in public, I lowered my voice slightly, but kept it clear enough for those nearby to hear, I moved out yesterday. The divorce papers were filed this morning, and a copy is waiting for you at the law firm I recommended, which, ironically, your family probably can't afford. The polite airport chatter around us died down as more people turned to stare. Ben's face contorted from placating concern to furious disbelief. You think this is some kind of joke? What about the non-refundable deposits? The planning that went into this seems like poor planning on your part, I countered, feeling a surge of defiant energy, much like using my money without my consent. Consider this my official notice that my personal bank is closed for business. Elinor, regaining her formidable composure, squared her shoulders. Clara, you are being ridiculous. After everything Ben has done for you, bringing you into this family. Bringing me into this family seemed to primarily involve signing me up for debt and treating my income as a joint family asset, I retorted, cutting her off. And speaking of flights, yours is boarding soon. You should hurry. Wouldn't want to miss your chance to explain to the nice gate agent why your itinerary suddenly looks like a blank page. Ben lunged forward, grabbing my arm with surprising force. Clara, stop this. You're making a scene. Think about what this looks like. I wrenched my arm free, my eyes blazing. It looks like a woman finally standing up for herself after years of being financially abused and manipulated. And if you touch me again, Ben, I will scream security, so loud they'll hear it in the control tower. And then I will explain to them exactly why I'm pressing charges against you and your family for fraud. He flinched back as if I'd electrocuted him. Fine, you want to be this way. Fine. He turned to his family, his voice a tight, angry whisper. Let's go. She's just having a meltdown. She'll come to her senses once she realizes what she's done. I watched them retreat, a tableau of fury and disbelief. Brooke was already frantically scrolling on her phone, no doubt trying to find a sympathetic ear or perhaps just Googling how to get free private jets. Elinor's walk was clipped, her perfect posture radiating indignation. Mike was muttering under his breath, occasionally shooting venomous glares in my direction. Not one of them looked back. Not one. They were so utterly convinced that this was a temporary inconvenience, that I would fold, that I would panic and call, begging to fix it, begging to be included. They were wrong. My phone vibrated. Sarah. Exit B Civic Power. Tell me everything. On my way, I typed back, my fingers trembling slightly, but with exhilaration, not fear. As I walked towards the exit doors, the symphony of my phone began. Texts, notifications, missed calls flooding in like a tidal wave. Their dawning horror was palpable, even through digital messages. The TICKETS are gone. The villa said we're not booked. What did you do, CLARA? Mom is screaming, it's a disaster. You have to fix this. Now. I silenced my phone, stepping out of the air-conditioned terminal into the warm California sunshine. Sarah's beat-up blue Honda Civic, a familiar and comforting sight, was idling at the curb, its bumper sticker collection a testament to years of adventures. Sarah herself was practically bouncing in the driver's seat, a wide grin splitting her face. "So," she demanded the moment I slid into the passenger seat, slamming the door shut on the fading sounds of airport chaos. "Was it everything you hoped for?" I leaned back, closing my eyes for a brief second, letting the reality of it wash over me. "It felt like jumping off a cliff," I admitted, opening my eyes to meet her excited gaze. "Terrifying, absolutely terrifying, and the most exhilarating thing I've ever done." Sarah laughed, pulling the car away from the curb. "Oh, honey, that was just the trailer. The feature film is just getting started." She was right. The canceled vacation was just the opening act. For months, I'd been working in secret. Ever since the day I'd seen a credit card statement with a recurring payment to a company I didn't recognize, labeled vaguely as family fund contribution. It had triggered a nagging suspicion that had led me down a rabbit hole of financial statements, bank records, and carefully documented conversations. I'd created a hidden spreadsheet, a digital ledger of their profligacy and my dwindling resources. Every loan, every emergency, every unexplained charge was meticulously recorded. "Remember that time Mike needed $40,000 for his disruptive tech startup?" I asked Sarah as we drove, the adrenaline starting to wear off, replaced by a weary anger. "The app that delivered warm cookies on demand." Sarah snorted. "Pretty sure the only thing disrupted was your bank account." "He blew through that in 2 months," I confirmed. And Ben just shrugged and said, "He's family, Claire. He needs a hand up." Or the time Alina needed 20 grand for unexpected dental work, right before she got that perfect smile for the charity gala photos. Sarah added, her voice laced with shared frustration. She'd heard all the stories over the years. That dental work somehow funded a trip to the Bahamas and a new diamond bracelet, I said, pulling my laptop from my bag as we settled into a quiet booth at our favorite diner. "It's all in here." I opened the spreadsheet, a chillingly accurate record of 7 years of financial bleeding. The total figure glowed on the screen. $412,350, Sarah read aloud, her eyes widening in disbelief. "Clara, I knew it was bad, but I didn't know it was this bad." "That's just what I could track," I said, taking a shaky breath. "Doesn't include the smaller cash gifts or the times I just covered things because Ben said it would keep the peace." My phone buzzed again. "Brooke, my influencer deal for the Italian Riviera is canceled BC of the booking fiasco. This is your fault. Fix it." I silenced the phone, my gaze fixed on my laptop screen as a new email notification popped up. This one was from a bank I didn't usually use. It was a confirmation email for a loan application, in both my name and Ben's, for a significant amount, signed by both of us. Dated just last month. My hands started to tremble uncontrollably. "They didn't just spend my money," I whispered, the realization sending a fresh wave of nausea through me. "They mortgaged my future without my knowledge." Sarah leaned closer, her face grim. "Clara, look at the signature. It's good, but it's not yours, it's a forgery." The confirmation hit me with the force of a physical blow. Ben, my husband, he had forged my signature on a 6-figure loan. And if he'd done it once, how many other times had he or they done it? Sarah was already on her phone, her voice low and urgent. "David? Hey, it's Sarah. Listen, I need your expertise like yesterday. I'm with a friend, and we've just uncovered something massive. Forgery, fraud, looks like it goes deep. Can you meet us? We're at the Lucky Star Diner on Main." She hung up, turning to me. "David Miller, best forensic accountant in the state." He owes me a huge favor from that messy divorce case last year. He's in. While Sarah coordinated with David, I dug deeper, logging into online portals for accounts I rarely accessed. Statements I'd always blindly trusted Ben to manage. The picture that emerged was horrifying. Credit cards I'd never applied for, investment accounts drained to almost nothing, insurance policies with questionable beneficiaries, and everywhere, signatures that were disturbingly similar to mine, but always subtly wrong under close inspection. It felt like peeling back a layer of reality to reveal a parasitic ecosystem thriving beneath the surface of my life. I was frantically screenshotting documents, copying files onto a secure drive, when a text message popped up from an unknown number. "We need to talk. Urgent. I know about the loans, the forged signatures, everything. It's Noah. Don't tell anyone else." Sarah looked at the message over my shoulder. Ben's cousin, the quiet tech guy. Wow, didn't think he'd ever get involved. "He's always been the black sheep," I said, remembering Noah's quiet presence at family gatherings, often observing from the periphery. Never fit into their flashy world. Maybe he saw something. "Can you trust him?" Sarah asked, her brow furrowed with concern. "Right now," I said, staring at a screenshot of yet another fraudulent transaction, this one labeled vaguely as a business investment. "I can't afford not to." My phone began a relentless barrage of calls. Alina, Mike, Brooke, even Ben's estranged Uncle George, someone I hadn't spoken to in years. They were clearly coordinating, a full-court press of guilt and demand. I silenced the phone, watching the screen light up with their names, feeling nothing but a cold detachment. "You know the craziest part about all this?" I said to Sarah, leaning back against the booth cushions. "They're not even really rich. It's all smoke and mirrors. The McMansion is mortgaged to the hilt. The luxury cars are leased. The family fortune is a house of cards built on debt and expectation. They're drowning, and they saw me as their personal flotation device." "Not anymore," Sarah said, her eyes hard with determination. "Now, you're the anchor, pulling them straight down. A woman with irrefutable proof and absolutely nothing left for them to take." I closed my laptop for a moment, letting the weight of it all settle. The Amalfi trip wasn't just a vacation. It was the grand finale of Operation Golden Goose. They'd planned to get me overseas, preoccupied with travel and jet lag, while they executed their final moves, liquidating my accessible assets, finalizing the sale of my condo using the forged papers, and leaving me with nothing but debt and a long flight home. The massive forged loan, probably intended to cover any immediate shortfalls or provide a cushion for their escape. Instead, they were likely stuck in some overpriced airport hotel, their grand plans in tatters, with no access to my money. I allowed myself a genuine, full-bellied laugh. And in a few hours, they were going to discover that every single account they had touched, every credit card number they had used without permission, was frozen tighter than a polar vortex. David arrived, a calm, bespectacled man who projected an air of quiet competence. I laid out the evidence, the spreadsheets, the screenshots, the forged loan documents. He listened intently, occasionally asking sharp, precise questions. "This is significant, Clara," he said finally, tapping a finger on a printout of the forged loan application. "This isn't just a few unauthorized charges. This is systematic financial fraud, forgery, potentially conspiracy. The police will be very interested in this." Just then, my phone buzzed with a text from Noah. "Got proof of more forged loans, years of them, and email chains detailing their plans. Can meet you now. Name the place." David looked at me, then at Sarah. "Looks like our case just got a lot stronger." "Ready to turn the screws?" Sarah asked, a predatory gleam in her eye. I grabbed my laptop, a sense of righteous fury hardening my resolve. Beyond ready, let's go. The videos started circulating around midnight. Someone with a smartphone and a TikTok account had been at the airport during the Reynolds family meltdown and had captured the whole chaotic scene. Aliner's shrieking demands, Brooke's tearful rants about ruined aesthetics, Mike's increasingly aggressive arguments with airport staff. The raw, unedited footage was uploaded and spread like wildfire, captioned with phrases like entitlement fail and airport meltdown. "Oh my God, Clara, look," Sarah shrieked, pointing at her phone. Someone said Aliner trying to climb over the check-in counter to the Benny Hill theme music. It's viral. We were back at my place. The living room transformed into a war room, laptops open, documents spread out. Noah had arrived with a treasure trove of data, years of emails, text messages, financial records he'd quietly siphoned from Ben's cloud storage and other family accounts. He explained the technical details of how they'd accessed my information, how Ben had practiced forging my signature, how they'd created shell companies to filter the money. It was Operation Golden Goose, Noah explained, pointing to an email chain from Ben to Mike. The plan was to have you out of the country, distracted, while they finalized the condo sale using forged power of attorney documents and transferred the last of your accessible funds into offshore accounts. The forged loans were to provide them with working capital. Once your accounts were empty, they were planning to leave me with nothing, I said, the reality of their betrayal hitting me with chilling clarity. Absolutely nothing. They underestimated you, David said quietly. They thought you were just a source of funds, not someone who would fight back. My phone rang. Ben, I put it on speaker, steeling myself. Clara, this is insane. What have you done? We're stranded. Mom had a panic attack. You have to reverse this. Reverse what, Ben? I asked, my voice calm, almost conversational. Reverse the consequences of your own actions. Reverse the years of lies and theft. It wasn't theft, we're family, he insisted, desperation creeping into his voice. We were just managing our resources. Your resources, I scoffed, or mine. Funny how managing resources looks an awful lot like forgery and grand theft when you see it laid out in court documents. Court documents, you're bluffing, he yelled, but his voice cracked. Am I asked sweetly. Ask David. He's sitting right here, looking through your financial records. He finds them fascinating, by the way. So do the police. Aliner's voice, sharp and furious, cut in. Clara, you put Ben on speaker. You malicious little. Save it, Aliner, I interrupted, feeling a surge of power. Your reign of terror is over. Those credit cards you love so much, canceled. The bank accounts you've been playing with, frozen. That facade of respectability you've built, it's crumbling faster than your patience at the airport. You can't do this to us, she shrieked. We're the Reynolds family. And I'm Clara Dixon, I stated, my voice ringing with finality. And you, the Reynolds family, are about to face the consequences of being criminals. I ended the call. Noah let out a low whistle. Mic drop. It's not over, I cautioned, though I felt a thrill of victory. They'll retaliate. They'll try to spin this to discredit me. Let them, David said, gesturing to the laptops filled with evidence. We have the truth on our side. My phone chimed with a new text. Chloe, Aunt Clara, I found more stuff. Emails from Mom about your condo, selling it. It's bad. Can I send it? Send everything, I texted back, looking at Noah. More data. He nodded, already setting up a secure channel for her. Let's see just how deep the rabbit hole goes. The media storm erupted the next day. The airport videos, coupled with the initial police reports I'd filed and the anonymous tips David and Noah had strategically placed, blew up. Local news, then national outlets, picked up the story. Socialite families' financial secrets exposed. Airport meltdown leads to fraud investigation. Wife turns tables on extravagant in-laws. My face, once just a background figure in their lavish photos, was suddenly front and center. Ben called again, his voice now a desperate plea. "Clara, please, we can fix this. This is destroying us. My job, Mom's foundation, Brooke's sponsorships. It's all gone." Funny how quickly things unravel when they're built on lies and stolen money, I said, feeling a chilling calm. "Get a lawyer, Ben, you're going to need one." I blocked his number. Over the next few months, the Reynolds family's carefully constructed world imploded. Lawsuits piled up against Mike for his pyramid schemes. Brooke lost all her endorsement deals and faced legal action from former business partners. Eliner's charity foundation was exposed as a front for tax evasion and fraudulent fundraising. The viral videos and news reports meant their downfall played out in the public eye, a spectacle of entitled privilege crashing down. 3 months after the airport confrontation, I walked into court for the sentencing hearing. The media presence was even more intense than before. Cameras flashed, reporters clamored for a statement. Sarah shielded me, guiding me through the throng. Inside, the air was thick with tension. Eliner, in a plain suit that seemed to physically pain her, sat stone-faced beside her lawyer. Mike looked pale and sickly. Brooke wasn't there, her own legal troubles having apparently taken priority. And Ben ... He looked like a ghost of the man I'd married, his shoulders slumped, his eyes vacant. They had all taken plea deals, their lawyers recognizing the insurmountable evidence against them. When the judge began reading the sentences, the courtroom was silent. Mike received a sentence for fraud and theft. Brooke, for her role in the schemes and charity fraud. Eliner, for running a fraudulent foundation and her extensive financial manipulations. And then Ben. His sentence was the longest, reflecting the forgery, the scale of the theft, and the planned liquidation of my assets. He was also ordered to pay significant restitution, a sum that, coupled with his family's debts, would likely leave them penniless. As the proceedings concluded, the judge offered me the opportunity to speak. I walked to the podium, the click of my heels on the marble floor echoing in the silence. Ben wouldn't look at me. "For 7 years," I began, my voice steady, though my heart hammered in my chest, "I was told that family meant blind loyalty, unquestioning support, and infinite generosity. I was told that helping family meant sacrificing my own financial security, my own future, to prop up a lifestyle built on debt and deception." I paused, looking out at the courtroom, at the reporters scribbling furiously, at the judge listening intently. The Reynolds family taught me a different lesson about family. They taught me that some people will take everything you have, and more if you let them. They taught me that trust can be a weapon, and love can be a currency. I looked directly at where Ben sat, though his eyes were still fixed on the floor. They stole my money, yes, but more importantly, they stole my sense of safety, my faith in the people I thought I could rely on. I turned back to the judge, my voice gaining strength. But here is what they didn't steal: my voice, my resolve, my ability to stand up and say no more, to rebuild, to fight back. I looked out at the gathered press. To anyone watching this, anyone trapped in a similar situation, whether it's a spouse, a parent, a sibling, you are not alone. You can say no, you can fight back, and you can win. A ripple went through the courtroom. As I returned to my seat, I saw several reporters nodding, their pens moving rapidly. Leaving the courthouse was like stepping into a different world. The media swarm was immense, but this time it wasn't about escape. It was about telling my truth. "Miss Dixon," a reporter called out, shoving a microphone towards me. How does it feel to see justice served against your ex-husband and his family? I faced the cameras, drawing on a strength I hadn't known I possessed just months ago. It feels like the first day of the rest of my life, I said, my voice clear and confident. And it's not over yet. The truth has a way of coming out, and the Reynolds family had a lot of truth they were hiding. My phone buzzed with a text from Chloe. Aunt Clara saw you on the news. You were amazing. Can we still get coffee? Absolutely, I texted back. My treat. Let's talk about your future. Stepping into the bright sunlight, with Sarah and Noah beside me, felt like shedding a heavy cloak. The past 7 years had been a burden I hadn't fully realized I was carrying until it was gone. Ahead lay the work of rebuilding, of healing, but also of possibility. My new life wasn't defined by the debts and betrayals of the past, but by the strength I'd found in fighting back, the support of true friends, and the freedom of finally being my own person. The Reynolds family had tried to bury me in debt and obligation, never realizing that in doing so, they were planting the seeds of my liberation and their own spectacular downfall. And me, I was finally ready to bloom.